For the past 100 years, the world has been told one story. Democracy is the best system. Dictators are always evil. Freedom is the only path forward. But history tells us something different. Some of the greatest economic transformations in human history didn't happen under elected presidents. They happened under men who had total control, men who didn't wait for who forced discipline on broken nations and changed their fate by any means necessary. This is not a defense of dictatorship. This is history, looked at honestly, and some uncomfortable questions about leadership, power, and progress. 5 dictators, 5 countries, 5 different categories of success, none of them admirable, none of them. Most dictators are feared. Some are respected. Almost none are genuinely liked. Tito was liked everywhere except Moscow, where Stalin tried to have him killed 22 times. When the attempts kept failing, Tito reportedly sent Stalin a letter with one message: "Stop sending people to kill me, or I will send one man to Moscow and I won't need to send a second." Stalin stopped. Because Tito refused to align with the Soviet Union, the West became fascinated with Yugoslavia. Here was a communist country operating independently of Moscow. Tito used that leverage brilliantly, co-founding the non-aligned movement in 1961, giving over 120 nations an alternative to picking sides in the Cold War. Yugoslav citizens could travel freely to the West, essentially unique in the entire communist bloc. When Tito died in 1980, delegations from 128 out of 154 UN member states attended his funeral. No leader in history, democratic or authoritarian, has ever drawn that many world leaders to a single event. 11 years later, Yugoslavia collapsed into the bloodiest European conflict since World War II. 130,000 dead, over 2 million refugees. The ethnic tensions Tito had held together through authority and charisma exploded the moment he was gone. He held it together. Nobody after him could. #4 Park Chung-hee, South Korea, the man who built an economy in a generation. In 1960, South Korea's GDP per capita was around $150, comparable to Ghana. Today it's 36,000. Park seized power through a military coup in 1961. His first move was shocking. He arrested the country's most prominent businessmen and had them paraded through the streets wearing signs that read, "I am a corrupt pig." Then he gave them a choice: invest in the industries I direct you toward, or lose everything. They invested. He nationalized the banks. Low-interest loans went to hand-picked companies: Samsung, Hyundai, LE. Hit your export targets and you got more loans, more protection. Missed them and the support vanished. Hyundai had zero shipbuilding experience. Park pushed them into it anyway. By 1980, South Korea was the world's second largest shipbuilder. Samsung went from processing sugar to manufacturing the semiconductor chips that power half the modern world. GDP grew at over 8% per year for 3 consecutive decades. The human cost was severe. Teenage girls worked 14-hour factory shifts with no ventilation. Labor rights were crushed. In 1972, Park amended the constitution to give himself unlimited terms. His reign ended in 1979 when his own intelligence chief shot him dead at a private dinner. South Korea became a democracy in 1987, but the nation Park built is still standing, still wealthy, still one of the most powerful economies on earth. #3 Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore, the man who built a country from nothing in 1965. Singapore was expelled from the Malaysian Federation, not through conflict. Malaysia simply didn't want it. Singapore became the only country in modern history to gain independence against its own will. No army, no natural resources, no drinking water. Half the population. Lee Kuan Yew cried on national television. He genuinely believed his country was about to die. Singapore's GDP per capita in 1965 was $516. When Lee stepped down in 1990, it was nearly $12,000. Today, it exceeds $90,000. No oil was discovered, no minerals. What Lee did was run Singapore like a CEO running a multinational corporation. He made English the working language. He built infrastructure around foreign investment. He mandated technology transfer. If you wanted access to Singapore's workforce, you had to train them. And he was absolutely ruthless about corruption. Civil servants became among the highest paid government officials on earth because Lee understood pay people enough and bribery becomes point. In 1986, his own Minister for National Development was caught taking bribes. The man committed suicide because he knew exactly what Lee would do to him. Lee did all of this without democracy. The ruling party has won every election since 1959. Opposition politicians have been sued, bankrupted, and silenced. Lee was open about his philosophy between being loved and being feared. I have always believed Machiavelli was right. He proved something deeply uncomfortable, that you can build one of the most successful nations on earth without freedom. 2. Paul Kagame's Rwanda, the man who stopped a genocide in 1994. Nearly 1 million Rwandans were murdered in 100 days. Not by a foreign army, by their own neighbors with machetes and farming tools. Paul Kagame was a Tutsi refugee who grew up in a Ugandan camp from age 2. In 1994, he returned with a rebel army and helped stop the killing. What he inherited was almost beyond recovery. Life expectancy had fallen to 28 years. The economy had collapsed by half. The entire country was living inside a trauma no ordinary government could address. His first move was symbolic, but Hutu and Tutsi were removed from all official government paperwork. The labels used to decide who lived and who died were erased from the state. Then, he rebuilt modeling Rwanda explicitly on Singapore. Zero tolerance for corruption. Rapid business growth. National unity before political freedom. A new business could be registered in making Rwanda the only low-income country ranked in the global top 30 for ease of doing business. The economy grew at 7-8% per year for 2 decades. Life expectancy climbed from 28 to 70. Kigali, once synonymous with massacre, became the cleanest city in Africa. His election results tell the other side 93%, 95%, 99%. Critics silenced, journalists operating under fear. But no one on this list inherited a country in worse condition, and no one's results are harder to argue with. Deng Xiaoping serves China, the man who lifted 800 million people out of poverty. No human being in recorded history improved more lives. It isn't close. In 1978, 88% of China lived in extreme poverty. Deng had been purged twice by Mao. During the Cultural Revolution, his son was thrown from a third-floor window by Red Guards and paralyzed for life. Deng spent 4 years on a factory floor. After Mao's death, he was rehabilitated. Then he did something brilliant. He praised Mao publicly, while quietly dismantling his policies from the inside. He used the phrase, "seek truth from facts," which sounds harmless, but was a direct assault on Maoist ideology. It meant, stop doing things because Mao said so. Start doing things because they actually work. The proof came from a tiny village. 18 farmers secretly divided their collective farmland into family plots. Under Mao, this was punishable by death. Grain output the following year was 6 times the previous total. Deng heard about it. Instead of punishment, he rolled it out as national China's poverty rate fell from 88% in 1981 to 2% in 2019. Over 800 million people lifted out of extreme poverty, 75% of all global poverty reduction during that entire period. But Deng also ordered tanks into Tiananmen Square in 1989. Students calling for democracy were met with military force that killed hundreds, possibly thousands. His decision was deliberate. Economic reform would continue. Political reform would not. The deal he offered the Chinese people was simple and brutal. You will get richer, but you will not get free. 5 dictators. One uncomfortable truth. Park Chung-hee built the fastest economic transformation in recorded history. Lee Kuan Yew built a thriving nation from literally nothing. Deng Xiaoping lifted 800 million people out of poverty. Tito made the entire world attend his funeral. Kagame stopped a genocide and rebuilt a country from the ashes. None of them operated democratically. All of them achieved what most democratic governments have never come close to matching. The uncomfortable truth that history keeps returning to is this: freedom does not always win. Sometimes history favors focus, discipline, and total control. The real question isn't whether these men were good, or the real question is harder and more important. Is democracy alone enough to give the world the future it actually needs?